We're here with Dr. Mario Ortiz, Dean of the School of Nursing, and who has a significant hand in the development of the Health Sciences campus in Johnson City. He is kind enough to give us an interview today, and so I'm going to ask him some questions, and he's going to provide some answers. So we begin with the question of, what are the long-term and short-term goals of the School of Nursing?
So what's interesting about expanding programs in the School of Nursing is that when I first arrived in 16, I noticed that after doing a community assessment of the area and the surrounding counties, that there was quite a gap between the amount of healthcare services needed and required by the population versus the amount of healthcare education that Binghamton offered. So I began to explore with the provost the idea of expanding the Decker School of Nursing into a College of Nursing and Health Sciences. And so the original plan was to house the School of Nursing in floors 1 through 4 of the new building in Johnson City. With some feasibility studies and hiring some consultants, it was determined that we could expand into physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech-language pathology. And also now we're going to be adding exercise science and athletic training to the portfolio of programs for the new college. So that began in the spring of 17. I submitted a proposal to the roadmap to fund the consultants and the feasibility studies. Those were hired and completed in that year. And then they confirmed the idea of offering those programs. And in that time, we've looked at the structures of the programs, and we also received additional funding from the state to now complete floors 5 and 6, which will house the rehab sciences. And so it's quite exciting to imagine that the Decker School, which is now 50 years old, that grew out of 40 or 50 students, now is at about 750, will grow to about 1,400 when we arrive in Johnson City.
Dean Ortiz, I think you came in 2016, 17. Can you talk about any relationships you have created in the community, for example, since your arrival?
Sure. What was quite interesting is partnering with UHS and Lourdes on many community projects. And what's been interesting that is happening with the energy and the synergy that is going on in Johnson City is that they are looking at creating more explicit partnerships. So for decades, we've been offering clinicals at their facilities, and we've been having CEUs with them for continuing education for our faculty and for their staff. And so what's happening now is that now they want to create clear partnerships to not only enhance health, but create interprofessional education, not only for their staff, but also for our students. One unique partnership that's going to be occurring is that we received a $1.5 million gift from Ann Hubbard to create the Ford Family Senior Care Center. So it'll be on Jennison Avenue, and it'll be a brand new building. And Lourdes Hospital will be moving their entire geriatrician practice there. So the geriatrician will have his practice there, and then Lourdes will hire our nursing faculty, nurse practitioners, to practice a day a week there, so that the faculty will be practicing and then also rotating students through the clinic while the clinic is seeing patients and their families.
Okay, you probably, I know you're very busy here, so you probably haven't spent much time over around the new pharmacy building in Corliss Avenue. You know some of the things that's been going on there, but to talk about impacts on the city yet is difficult. But could you look forward maybe and say, after you have these 1,400 students on the streets there, what kind of changes or impacts do you think that will have on the Main Street and other areas in Johnson City?
Oh, sure. Well, even the limited time that I spend in Johnson City now, there is a clear different energy than when I arrived in 16. With the building of the pharmacy building, you can even tell by when you drive down the street that the whole energy of the area looks different. When I'm at meetings at UHS, that's really the thing they always initially talk about, is the new pharmacy building and about us moving there in 2020. What's also very interesting is that in working with the Goodwill Theater group, is that area used to be a historical art and healthcare center for the county, and so we're looking at ways about how we can create partnerships with the theater and pharmacy and UHS, Lourdes, and us to do things like music therapy, art therapy, theater and drama therapy, have nursing students and actors working together to promote health. So there's some creative things that we can do to sort of strike the fire from the old history of the art center.
Okay, my next question has to do with students, and I'm sure the nursing students that are here realize that in 2020 they'll be over there. Have you heard any feedback from students or from faculty about their feelings about moving to Johnson City?
It's quite interesting. When I arrived in 16, that fall and then the spring of 17, I was receiving emails actually from parents who were concerned about sending their college-age students to Johnson City because when they moved them in as freshmen or sophomores, they were more concerned about Vestal and the campus, and then when they got news of Johnson City, they would drive through there, and needless to say, many of them were unimpressed with what they saw. So it was a lot of discussions with them, sending them the renderings of the new building. Also, at the time, the school of pharmacy was being built, so at least they were able to see how that would change the landscape of the area. Now shift into 3.5 years later, now all I get is excitement about when we're going to move, right? There is still, I say probably 98% of faculty and staff who are very happy. There's always the 1% who are always uncertain, and the 1% you'll never make happy. So, so I think the 98% of people are excited. So we're at the stage now of picking out furniture and paint and other things for the building. So this fall and spring, we'll be meeting with faculty to design their offices and start planning the move. So I think now that they know that it's going to be happening and they're actually looking forward to it, as opposed to always about something that's an idea for it.
The last thing here is whether you'd like to say something or have address a question that I didn't ask. Is there anything you'd like to talk about?
I think it's quite an exciting time to be at Binghamton. One reason why I came here was because I like to grow and expand programs. And it's very interesting to think that we could be that we are a major research university who has the ability to offer premier health care programs without having an academic health center. That's quite unique in the United States. There are some other research universities who have also followed that model and have garnered NIH, NINR funding. And so I think with the academic practice partnerships with Lorge, UHS, and Guthrie and Bassett, I think we could create a true premier non-academic health center with research and practice at its core.